To the IPC Apex 2025 Decode Podcast Edition live on the floor. Today we have David Schild from PCBAA, right? And what you do to me is the most important work out of anything in here, to be honest with you. As a circuit board manufacturer for, in my family's blood for 3 generations, having somebody being advocate for that manufacturing side that has completely been destroyed and devastated. The article about 2,000 board shops back in the day when I started PCB Fab down to whatever, less than 200, 100 now. It's just such a sad state, and I'm passionate about that stuff. So I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about what the PCBAA does and what your role is in that.
Yes, we do allow the guests to talk. So
well, it's important. I wanted to make sure everybody knows.
That monologue, Sean.
Listen, without the boards, they don't exist. So this guy is the most important in this building.
I missed the memo about Blue Polo Day here at the Decode Podcast, so I already understand that I'm playing from behind. No, first, thanks for having me. Thanks. I think it's so great that you guys are here at the show, right? As a follower of your program and what you guys do, it makes sense for you to be out here in Anaheim. This is my first Apex show, so I'm trying to do what doesn't come naturally to me, which is listen more and talk less. However, I see a lot of our members here, and you're exactly right, Sean. The Printed Circuit Board Association of America was founded because we saw that everybody here, right, needed an organization that would educate, advocate, and legislate on their behalf. When people ask me, how did Intel, how did Micron, how did TSMC get $52 billion in government funding? The answer is they had an organized education and advocacy campaign. Groups like SEMI and SIA really did a lot of work. And I would say from ideation to execution, the CHIPS Act was a 60-month journey that included COVID, that included pandemic supply chain interruptions, right? And it convinced people in Washington, we need to make more of what we depend on here in America. There shows up $52 billion in government funding, which more importantly led to $462 billion in private money.
Right.
When government puts its hand on the scales, when they send that all-important signal to Wall Street, to the private equity community, that's when you see money coming off the sidelines. Wouldn't it be so transformative for American PCB manufacturing if private money came off the sidelines? That's why we're pushing for the same sorts of incentives, the same sorts of grant programs for American-made PCBs. You encapsulated it right there at the beginning. We used to have a robust ecosystem, more than 2,000 companies making boards. Now it's 143.
Right.
And it isn't just board makers. It's their critical materials suppliers. It's the tooling folks. It's everybody from when raw material comes out of the ground to when a Javelin missile, right, does its important work. Everything in between is microelectronics manufacturing, and we need to be doing more of it in the United States.
you bring up a good point there, and it's not just economical, right? It's actually much bigger than just the financial impact. We're talking about the vulnerability of our entire defense system, everything. If you can't manage to source and build everything that you need locally, then you're going to have to, like, some IP that shouldn't be getting in other places is going to make its way out there, right? So you have to be able to handle, we need a much more robust localized system to be able to really keep things as secure as we should.
Yeah, we say PCBs make it possible, which is to say modern life.
Yeah.
So it's defense and aerospace systems for sure, but it's everything in critical infrastructure as well. If you look around the world now at the way conflicts are playing out, there's a lot of asymmetric warfare where people turn off the lights, they turn off the water and power grid.
Yeah.
How are they doing that?
Right.
In some cases, they're taking advantage of hardware flaws and embedded technologies and threats that we don't think about because we're looking at that traditional kinetic way of warfare. Well, what are we using to build out infrastructure in the United States?
Right.
A lot of foreign-produced microelectronics. We are not that's a risk we don't need to take.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think it's one of these rare opportunities where you can really gain bipartisan support, right? There's nothing partisan about us having security in our infrastructure, and to have these backdoor vulnerabilities with critical items like you've just outlined. Who's not going to jump on this? But we need a voice, and I think that's really what PCBAA is doing, because the folks that are in manufacturing may not be the best advocates for themselves. They don't know how to navigate the political climate, and I think that's what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, it's not our cup of tea, right? It's not what we do every day.
You would not want me anywhere near a solder gun. You would not want me anywhere near a pick-and-place machine, but I'm less dangerous near the Capitol, right?
Right.
And you're absolutely right. we are seeing a bipartisan consensus for manufacturing. One of the only things you can get Democrats and Republicans to agree on right now is that we need to make more things in America, and that manufacturing jobs are some of the best jobs that we can bring back to the United States. You hear this term reshoring all the time. I don't think sweatshirts and socks are coming back.
No.
But I do think that high-end, high-tech, high-touch labor can come back to the United States. You're all representing organizations that are already doing this all over the country. We need to do a better job of telling your story. But this is something where it's very hard to see that one political party or another doesn't want us to succeed.
Yeah.
Right? You might have a national security dog in the fight and say, look, I want to be competitive on the global stage. You may say, I want to see more manufacturing jobs returning to my district. You may just, want to see growth in the U.S. economy writ large. Either way, if we get the kind of policies, the kind of incentives that would benefit our industry, you win. Regardless of the letter after your name, you win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pick from the cornucopia of benefits to your constituents. Like, which one would you like to tout? There's plenty to choose from.
Right. Yeah, and for me personally, like I said, I've been on the full spectrum of it. Growing up, and I just did that video recently. I don't know if you've seen it with my grandpa's in my dad's shop that was around there. All you see is PCB panels everywhere. That's it. There was circuit board panel after circuit board panel after circuit board panel, and that slowly got chopped down. By 2008, Korea came across, started emailing, communicating, and then after that, China came across, and then now everyone just goes direct to China, and it's sad for me because I grew up with that, right? I feel like my family is doing this for so long, and then all of a sudden we can't do it anymore because it's just nobody wants to pay that price. It's kind of sad. But I know one thing. If America wanted to subsidize, they could. And if we have to fight subsidize with subsidize, we can, and we will win that fight every single time.
Yeah, one of the things that we really emphasize in Washington is that American companies are not losing to foreign companies. They're losing to foreign governments.
Correct.
If any of you have read Chris Miller's book, Chip War, it really gives some insight into how much work the government of Taiwan, the government of Japan, the government of mainland China did to absolutely kickstart the microelectronics industries that are now really ascendant in those countries.
It didn't
it's
happen
not
by accident.
an accident. That's exactly the right phrase. It's not an accident. And so when people say, hey, the marketplace has decided that we're not going to do manufacturing in the United States, well, not really. It's not really a pure play marketplace, is it? So I think on industrial policy, the government's playing catch up. I don't say that to criticize any of the administrations that have been in Washington in the 25 years that I've been in Washington. It's to say that we woke up one day and realized we can't turn the lights on. We can't fly airplanes. We can't submerge submarines without microelectronics. I guess we better start making this stuff here again. There was a failure of imagination, but the test case for this is chips.
Yep.
There are fabs going up in Ohio, in New York, in Arizona. We can do the same thing with the rest of the ecosystem, and we have to. Chips don't float. Where are they going to go? Right? Where are they going to go? They need to go on boards. They need to be packaged. All this stuff can happen in the United States. We used to have this model with the automotive industry. I don't need to tell anybody from Michigan about this, right? Brake pads from Illinois, transmissions from Ohio, final assembly in the Motor City. We used to do it this way. We can do it this way again.
And it's not just fab, it's assembly too. I mean, you saw it happen to the fabrication side of the industry.
It will happen
and
to PCBA.
now you see the same thing happening in the assembly side of it. Like, if left alone, it's not a question of what will happen. You have to put a concerted effort forward to change things, or else it will continue to go in the same direction, right? So all of us here are really grateful for your efforts. We appreciate you being an advocate for us. And also, we just want to thank you for your time joining us here. You helped bring some polish to this platform for us.
Not at all. I appreciate what you guys are doing. You're spreading the word. We need more media in the microelectronics space. So
we'll get it out there. We'll do our best on that. So
awesome.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for being here. Thanks, guys.